Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined once again by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are rolling along here on a Thursday slate, a bunch of day games today in the MLB, as expected on Thursday. Get a bunch of those on this day here. So we'll be looking at a bunch of these afternoon and evening games for you guys. Make sure that you can get ahead of these with us on this video. Also want you to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along with us. We are bringing you these videos each and every weekday this regular season. Also want you to head to thelines.com, check out the great content we have on the site. Use that odds finder tool as well to make sure you're getting all the best odds available to you from these books, giving us bets this baseball season. Nate, what did we do yesterday? Not too bad. I think we ended up right around like 500 again, maybe slightly over, just sort of hovering around there, making our gains here in baseball slowly as we move forward, just a couple days together on the show. So we're getting into a nice groove. I think we have some pretty decent games to choose from here on this slate, Nate. So why don't you kick us off with your first best bet for the day?
Yeah, you hit your bets yesterday. I did not, but Michael Lorenzen was lights out with the no-hitter. And we're going back to the Phillies against the Nats again here. Both of us on fading Patrick Corbin. Patrick the Pinata, if you will, has just been one of the worst pitchers in baseball for a few years running now. And the Nats, they gave him that money and they're going to let him play out the string. But the Phillies have to be licking their chops to face this guy who they've beaten 6 straight times, 6 straight losses to the Phillies, 9.9 ERA with a 3.6 home run per 9 ratio. The projections are sky high for guys like Real Muto, Alec Boehm, Kyle Schwarber, but I'm actually going with Nick Castellanos to score a run and the Phillies to win at plus 118. I think that's pretty good here. I mean, RBI might be a little higher for him. Also plus 470 for him to hit a home run in the win. But, I'm not going to bank on homers. I am going to bank on Castellanos kind of continuing his hit streak here. 10 games, hitting 302, scored 8 runs in that span, scored in 6 of his last 9 appearances. Since coming to the National League in 2021, he's hitting 333 against Nationals pitching with 26 runs in 30 games, 31 RBI. In those 30 games. Corbin on the season even worse than his actual numbers would indicate, with the 6.4 xERA. He has a career low K rate, career high, career low swinging strike rate, and on the road against righties, extremely homer prone. Like I mentioned, the Phillies should just be all over this in terms of like team success. Castellanos being right in the middle of that lineup. Also looking at even their 9-hitter, Johan Rojas, to maybe get a hit and a win, and the Phillies over, which I think you're on here. So I'll let you talk about, why the entire team will do well. But I think if you take this Castellanos, if you take a specific player prop bet, you might as well put a half unit on that team total, because there should be production to go around here, and maybe one guy goes 0 for 4, but it's a great matchup for everybody in this lineup, basically.
Yeah, it really is. The only difference that might be in this lineup from yesterday was Bryson Stott didn't start, the lefty second baseman. I don't know if he'll come back. They rarely sit him 2 games in a row. They did play the switch hitter there at second, the youngster whose name I'm already blanking on, but Raul Castro. So that was the only change to the lineup. They still have a ton of righties. They're starting Trey Turner, obviously at DH, and he's still leading off as bad as he's been at times. He's still a good right-handed batter against Corbin. And then, they're able to throw a slew of righties at him who just crush him. He's been a good pitcher against lefties this season. Like, maybe not for the contract that he has, but he's still been a good pitcher against lefties this season with a sub-3 xFIP, a sub-3.2 FIP. Like, he's a good pitcher against those lefties. They're just not starting any. And the best lefty in this lineup is going to be Bryce Harper, who's at least barreling the ball better than he was at the beginning of the season. Even if he's not putting up total Bryce Harper numbers, he's still one of the more dangerous lefties in the game. So there's really no relief here for Corbin as he goes through this lineup. You took it at 5.5 runs for the team total for the Phillies. Is that right?
That's what they have as the standard at FanDuel, for even money.
Yep, and obviously on FanDuel and a couple other books, you can take some alt runs if you want as well. So I actually dumbed it down on BetMGM. You can get over 4.5 runs for the Phillies and get it's obviously minus 165, not as good as the juice that you get for the over 5.5. When I've been in this situation in baseball the last 3 weeks before you came back, Nate, I've been doing this let me split my unit here. Put like half a unit on over 4.5, half a unit on 5.5. I still get the plus money if he gets the 5.5. I'm a little bit below even if he gets the 4.5, right? So like I think it's still worth it there. And then the first 5 over 4.5 runs too. I think Nola's like they can get to him. I took his strikeouts in this one as well. Let me be very clear as I'm like segueing from you. Like I'm taking over 5.5 Ks for Nola, minus 145 on DraftKings with half a unit. It's just it's too much to not take. I was telling myself last night when I was looking at it initially, I was like, if this stays at 5.5, then I'm talking about it on the show, right? Because he's got 6 Ks or more in 6 straight games now. He's got 6 Ks in 7 of his last 11 starts versus the Nats. And you talked about how good he's been against the Nats. They've been awesome at not striking out this year. That's the only thing. We talked about it yesterday. It's the only thing they're good at on offense, especially against righties like Nola, is they don't strike out. But that's okay. They struck out 6 times yesterday against Zach, or 2 days ago against Zach Wheeler, right? And so, when you've got a pitcher of Nola or Wheeler's magnitude on the mound versus a Ranger Suarez, some of the other guys they're putting out there, I feel good enough about them getting that. Obviously, Lorenzen also gets his Ks in that no that he threw for the Phils. So there is the ability to get the ball past this Nats lineup as of late, and these pitchers are the ones that do it especially. As far as the runs go, yeah, we're just fading Patrick Corbin. I don't need to like Patrick the Pinata. Well done. I don't have to really get too much further into that. He's in the bottom 5th percentile of the league in X everything. So ERA, WOBA, batting average, slugging, OPS, like whatever you want to talk about for his opponents, they're all expected to hit like freaking Aaron Judge against him essentially. So that 5.03 ERA is bad. The 1.5 WHIP might be worse, and the fact that like his expected numbers are so much worse than his already bad core numbers and stable numbers. Like, yeah, I'm good on that. The Philly bats against lefty pitching rather is back to being a top 10 offense in the league over the last like 6 weeks or so. They do strike out a ton. Corbin strikes out lefties, doesn't strike out righties, so I'm not really worried about it. His walk ratio is pretty good. He doesn't walk guys either, but like this is a team that's trying to mash. They can get a couple guys on base here and there and just mash, and that's what they're going to continue to try to do. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the over on Nola's Ks, 5.5, over 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings combined for both teams, and then the Phillies to score more than 4 runs in this game overall.
Yeah, I might like your first 5 innings bet combined most of all because Nola has not been as good as last year by any means. I mean, he's been striking people out. It seems like almost the only way he gets people out to a degree. The last 5, he's been hit really hard. And while he's been good against Washington the last few years, yeah, I do worry about their low K rate in general. And that young team, I think they'll be able to tag on a couple of runs. And I mean, the Phillies might get 5 off Corbin in the first couple innings. They basically have the last couple times they faced him. So I think that's my favorite of the ones you threw out there.
Yeah, me too. Just to reiterate, I think I'm going to dumb down the Nola Ks to like 0.3 units at this point. That's the only one I didn't hit already because like, yeah, the expected numbers for him are better than his regular numbers for sure. Like his xERA is 3.86. But in this matchup with that crappy juice on the 6 Ks for him, it's like if that was much closer, like minus 120, you'd feel fine. But losing that 25 cents at like minus 145, I'm starting to be like, look, those other bets for runs in this game are just a lot more, I think, concrete. So I'm going to dumb down the units on his strikeouts.
Yeah. I'll move us out west here on the short Thursday slate, looking at Clayton Kershaw's return after 6 weeks off. Really just veteran management. Which he said he didn't really think was a good thing, but he's 35 and basically had a little bit of shortness. So they just shut him down, but he was rock solid before that with a 1.7 ERA. His previous 5, he's facing a completely watered down Rockies lineup that they traded maybe their best 2 righties versus lefties. No Cron, no Grichuk now at this point. They're hitting 171 against lefties in August. On the road this season against lefties, 642 OPS, averaging less than 1.5 runs per game. So what I'm doing is kind of looking at this run line parlay options for the Dodgers to win by 2 or 3 and for the game to stay relatively low scoring because you got Kershaw on the mound. So Dodgers minus 2.5 runs and under 10.5 gets you plus 220. And I'll do the Josh here and split my bet between that and Dodgers to win by 2 and it to go under 9.5. So something along the lines of Dodgers like 7-1 win, 7-2 win or something like that. I think this is going to be a mismatch. The Dodgers have obviously been playing elite ball for a while, and the Rockies are completely tanking. So we got Ty Blatch
Block.
on the mound, who's a classic guy who's like legit awful, yet somehow like walks into outs. He avoids barrels, and that's the one thing he does. 95% contact in the zone, and a pretty high line drive rate. But if you're not barreling it up, like he's like, all right, I got fielders. Let's see what happens. And that's worked for the most part against these Dodgers bats, who are hitting 257 collectively in 109 at bats against Blatch. Freddie Freeman 0 for 8. Mookie Betts also not good numbers. Not good for Muncy or Austin Barnes. I think there's enough offense here. Chris Taylor and Peralta do have good match numbers against him. Enough here for the Dodgers to get theirs, to get 5 to 7 runs, like I'm saying, especially against that Rockies bullpen, which is the 4th worst all year. Obviously, you trust the Dodgers bullpen a lot more right now to close it out, and hopefully just keep this low scoring on the Rockies end, and that's why we go under with the Dodgers winning comfortably.
Yeah, you got to find a way to get that juice, man. First, it's Ty Block. Not trying to be a one-upperman here. I just know that because I covered the San Francisco Giants for like 3 seasons, and he was a relief / innings eater kind of guy for them. And
that's
like Ty Block doesn't have what's that? yeah,
in those radio notes,
yeah, exactly, those radio notes. Ty Block doesn't have stuff. To your point, like he doesn't have stuff, so he can't throw it over the plate. He's got to be a trickster who relies on a good defense behind him and a lot of ground balls. The Dodgers have some of the best lefty on lefty crime batter stats here. Freddie Freeman is the best left-handed hitter against left-handed pitching maybe in the last decade. Like he's definitely the best in the last couple of years, and this year for sure. So the fact that he hits lefties so well is not going to be a good thing for a team that is going to come in relying on the ball being in play and them being able to field it well. And I don't trust that for them. The ball needs to stay in the yard, first of all. And if he's able to do that, fine. But it seems like this fly ball to home run ratio for him is very favorable, and that balls are not quite flying out like they should be. Kudos to him. He's got a decent ground ball percentage. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like you're not going to take the money line at minus 405 on the Dodgers here, right? So you got to find a way to play this game. And there's not as much to choose from in these afternoon and these evening games. And this is an easy one to just try to figure out how I'm putting my money against the Rockies and on the Dodgers. And the CJ Cron and Randall Grichuk moves over to the Angels I thought was going to be awesome, but the Angels still have only won 1 game since the All-Star break, since the trade deadline rather. So not working out for them either way. But I'm going to close things out here, Nate. Back on the East Coast, right? This game is in Tampa Bay here against the struggling Cardinals, I'll say. They did manage to give them a good game yesterday, but then the Rays came back, ended up winning. Shout out Michaelis, who had a pretty nice start for them. But this is Yandy Diaz coming in, and I'm taking him to have a good game against Liberator. And that is because he is crushing lefties. He's been so much better since he's basically since basically since August started. So the end of July, let's say, he's had a lot better numbers. He had 2 home runs combined in June and July. In August, he's already got 2. So we know he's off to a little bit better start. He's batting .323 this month. And yeah, when you've got Liberator on the mound, especially on the road, it's just wild that he's got an 11.48 ERA away from Busch Stadium. He's allowing opponents to bat .350 on the road as well, and like I said, not good against lefties. Against righties. .339 in those oppo splits there. .548 slugging to righties. And honestly, he's not that good against lefties either so far. Like I said, a couple of the lefties that will be out there for the Rays also doing a pretty good job against lefties as well. So I don't really think there's going to be much room for him for Liberator to like breathe at any point during this Rays lineup. And I'm going to go ahead and ladder his total bases on this, Nate. So follow me here. Over 1.5 total bases is minus 115. We're going a full unit on that. Over 2.5 bases is 2 to 1 on your money, 0.4 units on that. Over 3.5 total bases, basically a home run. If he hits it, we got the 4 total bases right there, plus 330. And if he gets a home run and another base, then we're talking about plus 650. And I think that's super possible. I think the home run is super possible. I hate taking a home run prop at like plus 380. I just hate it, So I'm rarely going to do it. I know it's something that some people like, but Yandy, just coming back to him a little bit more. Like I said, he's finally gotten back on the home run train. And as a power hitter, you do kind of worry that maybe he's not going going to get there if he doesn't get the home run. In which case you're like, well, why don't you just take the home run? It's like, because I can still get the total bases ladder, but by putting the full unit on it and budgeting correctly, I'm still making sure that if he gets 2 hits, I'm going to come up and plus money here. So, or 2 hits, 2 bases even, right? Which I think is very, very likely in this one. So, get a double off the bat. We're already up for the game, and now we're just playing with house money, and that's why I like this little ladder here for Yandy to handle. We just need Liberator to make it like 4 innings, so Yandy can get at least 2 at bats against him. Honestly.
Yeah, but I'm not that scared of the Cardinals bullpen despite some recent success, and I am willing to buy stock in the Rays at home. I mean, you hitting at the Trop. He's a power hitter, yes, but with no shift. I mean, you put the ball on the ground on that turf, and that's why he's hitting 378 at home against lefties. OPS over 1,000. He is a pretty good all-around hitter. I don't think we need to depend on the home run to hit this ladder. And I think, it's a good call to just stack him in DFS and take this and do whatever else you want to try to stack that Rays offense.
Yep. Hell yeah. I'm with it. Let's get it today, man. We got a lot of good picks in here. I'm feeling pretty good about it. So that is all the time that we have for you, though. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. We're coming back tomorrow to close out the week for you guys on a Friday. So until we see you next, happy betting.